Jake Paul is picking fights in the combat world, but now it's not just fights in the ring that he's after. The problem child wants to go head-to-head with UFC President Dana White about UFC fighter pay, and somehow Paul is looking like the good guy. Even for combat sports, Paul's story is strange. This guy was a Disney star, a social media influencer, and a YouTuber before he turned pro boxer. It's the sort of resume most combat athletes might be embarrassed by. Not Paul.
World champ, bro.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
5 world champions.
You can't pay rent with those belts.
5 world titles.
You can't pay rent with those belts. What have I done? I gave
Gucci.
Disney Gucci collab. Disney Gucci collab.
Oh, correct.
Yeah,
oh.
you're about to get beat up by a Disney kid.
I'm not
gonna be pretty embarrassing for you.
He calls himself the problem child, and you can probably guess why. But if you needed some clarification, when his brother Logan Paul was scheduled to face Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition bout, Jake had a little run-in with the legend and challenged him to a fight. Then this happened.
Make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Yes, sir.
Get the paperwork for this bum.
Get Al Heyman.
Absolutely. I don't need Al Heyman.
Let me call Al Heyman.
I'm my own boss. I'm my own boss.
One night. Got your hat. Got your hat.
That's right. Jake Paul stole the hat from the head of one of the greatest boxers of all time and ran away with it like he was a schoolyard bully. You can't make this stuff up, but he can, and he does. And that's how he sells fights. As another example, before his canceled bout with Hasim Rahman Jr., Paul went on Twitter and gave everyone a scare. And it was a great piece of marketing.
All right, Jake, I'm filming.
So guys, I'm in the hospital. I had an accident. I'm still gonna be able to fight August 6th, so get your tickets at msg.com before they sell out. But I broke my back carrying the promotion for this event. It's broken.
Oh, Jake, you good?
Nurse!
Jake,
Nurse, more morphine!
Oh, my God.
I broke my back carrying the last 5 fights promotion.
You're used to this.
My opponents never sell shit. Oh, it hurts!
Do something.
It hurts! These motherfuckers never sell shit. They couldn't sell a pen to a writer!
Say what you will about Paul, he knows how to sell a fight. The guy is headlining pay-per-views. He's making millions per bout. And against all odds, he's actually winning.
No one in the history of boxing has done what I've done at this age. Massive pay-per-views, knocked out every single person that I've fought. The only person that's as active as me doing these bigger pay-per-views is Canelo.
And he's 50+ fights in.
And like I said, I knocked out everyone that I fought, turned them all into memes. That shit's going viral all over the internet. And I'm ready to fight whoever. It doesn't matter if they're a professional boxer or if they're a 5-time UFC champion. I don't care.
Using the money he's made from fighting, Paul is now promoting the women's boxing legend Amanda Serrano. And for the first time ever, she's making real championship boxer money. You can't deny that Paul is making money hand over fist for himself and now other fighters. But does that give him the right to tell Dana White and the UFC what to do? A lot of the heat between the two happened after UFC 270 in January, when Francis Ngannou defended the heavyweight world title against Cyril Gane, and the payouts were announced. That alone might not have started anything, but just before that, the heavyweight boxing champion Tyson Fury knocked out Deontay Wilder in the 3rd bout of their trilogy. In short, the combined total payout for UFC 270 was $1.8 million. Tyson Fury made $30 million, and Wilder made $20. Wilder made 10 times what the entire UFC card made, and he lost. Fury made over 15 times the combined total. The real problem is that while the champs earn good money, the lower-tier fighters get paid $10,000, which he and many fighters think is unacceptable, especially for a major sports organization. Comparatively speaking, the NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL each pay the players around 50% of their annual revenue. The UFC pays its athletes around 18%. If you're a top-tier fighter like Conor McGregor, you can earn millions per fight. It's a great gig. And McGregor routinely earns more than any of the athletes in any of those other sports. But if we look at the NFL, the minimum salary for one season is $660,000. as negotiated by the Players Union. That's more than the UFC's heavyweight champion. In the NBA, the minimum salary received by a player for one season was over $1 million. And they're putting balls in hoops. UFC fighters are putting their lives on the line every time they get in the cage. And some of them are getting 10 grand per fight. And they only fight 2, maybe 3 times a year. Paul, however, has a plan. And honestly, the numbers sound pretty good. He wants to commit $50K bonuses for every winner instead of the standard 4. That's roughly equal to $600,000 per event. If there are 45 events a year with 12 fights per card, it's a total payout of $27 million, which is roughly 2.7% of the UFC's annual $1 billion in revenue. $50,000 for every winner would be game-changing. That's a livable wage, meaning athletes can give up part-time jobs to become full-time fighters. That can only better the sport and make it a more attractive option for young athletes deciding on future career paths. Plus, the UFC would still only be forking out 20% of its annual revenue. That's still 30% less than the other major American sports. It's a surprisingly, or perhaps unsurprisingly, smart suggestion from Paul. So why wouldn't Uncle Dana and his crew do this?
Just because you're an accountant here doesn't mean you know what the goes on here. And doesn't mean that you can run a fight promotion company. You know, I think that Jake Paul probably needs to get some different people around him. If he's going to stay in the sport, he needs to be with guys that actually really know how to put on fights.
White made the UFC the juggernaut it is. He knows what he's doing. So to believe that such a simple fix to the UFC pay system has gotten by him is more than a little naive. Then there's Uncle Dana's take on Jake Paul's canceled bout against Hasim Rahman Jr.
I think they sold under $1 million in tickets, and it cost $500,000 to turn the lights on at MSG. That's what I think. Oh, not to mention the fact that hotel rooms in New York and transportation and everything else is very expensive.
The facts are that White and the UFC have done something incredibly right. There are fighters who are unhappy about their pay, but not enough to form a union to do anything about it. So does anything even need to be done? Jake Paul believes yes, and only time will tell if he can do anything. But White can't deny that the problem child is getting traction, and something may have to change soon before fighters like Ngannou start looking elsewhere for the money they feel they deserve. Thanks for watching, and remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.